opt out as Lagos, Ogun, Edo, Anambra delay law. Lagos, the permanent secretary of the Southern Governors Forum, is one of the states in the region that has failed to meet the September 1st deadline for the promulgation of the anti-grazing law. The 17 governors of the region had set the deadline during their July meeting in Lagos as a follow-up to the announcement of a total ban on open grazing during an earlier meeting in Asaba. Delta State Trust revealed that the anti-grazing bill is still in the State House of Assembly where it has passed first reading. The Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, told Daily Trust that the State Executive Council has passed the anti-open grazing bill and presented it to the House of Assembly. Meanwhile, Daily Trust gathered that Imo State has opted out of the resolution of the governors of the region. The governor of the state, Hope Uzodinma, disclosed that the state has opted for a partnership between farmers and herders after meeting President Muhammadu Buhari penultimate Friday. Uzodinma told House correspondent that there was no law forbidding open grazing by cattle rearers in Imo State. In Ogun State, Governor Dapo Abiodun is yet to assent the Animal Grazing Regulation and Cattle Ranch Establishment Bill 2020 passed last month by the State House of Assembly. The bill passed on July 8 put offenders at the risk of 3-year jail term. The chief press secretary to the governor, Kunle Somorin, confirmed that the bill had not been signed into law. When asked if the governor was ready to assent the bill, he said the governor will assent a bill based on the evidence or advice from the Ministry of Justice and the major stakeholders. In Edo State, the anti-grazing law has not been enacted by the State Assembly. Our reporters gathered that the state governor, Godwin Obaseki, had yet to send a bill to the Assembly for consideration despite the September 1st deadline by the Southern governors. There have been several protests by communities and civil society organizations calling on the state government for the enactment of law regulating grazing in the state. However, the Anambra state government said it had no plan to enact anti-open grazing law in the state because of the cordial relationship between herders in the state. The state's Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Mr. C. Don Adinuba, said we have a committee that interfaces with the herders and farmers in the state over the years and it is working effectively. There is no need for such laws since there is no problem in the states. Also, Osun State Governor Adegboyega Oyetola has not signed the anti-open grazing bill passed by the Assembly. In the Osun Animal Grazing Regulation and Cattle Ranches Establishment Bill 2021 has been passed by the Assembly after its third reading, but the governor has not given his assent to it. However, the Ondo State Governor and Chairman of Southern Governors Forum, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu San, on Tuesday signed the anti-grazing bill passed by the State Assembly into law. The Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Donald Ojogo, said it's very pertinent to aver and indeed reorientate that the law shall rather agenda a more cordial, mutual, benefiting relationship amongst residents of the state irrespective of ethnicity, religion or creed. For emphasis, no particular group of person is the target, he said. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has also passed the open rearing and grazing prohibition Law number 5 of 2021, saying it is inimical to development and peace for any state to condone open grazing of cattle. Governor Doye Diri, who has already assented to the anti-open grazing bill in Bayelsa, has constituted an implementation committee to enforce the law in the state. The committee is headed by the Commissioner for Agriculture, David Alagoa, while members of Cattle Rearers Association are to serve as members. Daily Trust gathered that cattle rearers in the state have relocated to the government-approved area for grazing at Bayelsa Palm Road in Yenogwa. In Ekiti State, Major Tajuddin Awe retired, who is in charge of agro rangers in the states, said the state started the implementation of the anti-grazing law in 2016, while the law was amended in 2018. Daily Trust gathered that Oyo State is putting in place apparatus to implement the anti-open grazing bill, which the governor has assented to in October 2019. The chief press secretary to the governor, Taiwo Adisa, told Daily Trust that the state would implement the law as soon as the necessary apparatus were in place. A former chairman of the Mieti Allah Cattle Association in Oyo State, Alhaji Yakubu Bello, said the association and the Oyo State government had scheduled a meeting for Saturday, saying the outcome of the meeting would determine their stand. In Ebonyi, Daily Trust gathered that the anti-grazing law came into existence in 2018, but its implementation is doubtful. The law banned underage herders grazing of cows and its movement in the night. Mieti Allah Fulani group requests for more time in Enugu. The leaders of the Mieti Allah Honorable and Gan Allah Fulani Development Association of Nigeria, GAVDAN, have asked the Enugu State House of Assembly to give them more time to make submission to the anti-grazing bill before the Assembly. Head of Mieti Allah in the Southeast, Alhaji Gidado Idris Sidiki, and Zonal Chairman Musa Abdullahi, respectively, on today asked the Enugu State House of Assembly Committee on Agriculture, Ethnic and Privilege during the public hearing on the law to prohibit open grazing and regulate cattle ranching to give them 1 month to go and deliberate on the bill to make their own submission. The Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization Afenifere Tuesday backed the Southern governors on the passage of the anti-open grazing bill. We condemn the steps taken by governors of the Southwest on the establishment of security networks like Omotekun. We urge them to continue to forge ahead, Afenifere said in a communique signed by the Publicity Secretary Jare Ajayi at the end of a meeting of the group held at the house of the acting leader, Chief Ayo Adebanjo. Participants who attended the meeting from all the states in the southwest as well as Kwara and Kogi states also faulted the move by President Muhammadu Buhari to revive the grazing routes. The National Publicity Secretary of PAN Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, Ken Robinson, said that no governor in the region should refuse to enact the anti-open grazing law. He said with the aspiration of that deadline, PANDEF employ all the southern governors to honor their collective decision despite the apparent act of intimidation and coercion by the central government, particularly with the 2023 general election in view. The fact remains that open grazing of cattle is an archaic practice that has no place in today's society, irrespective of the arbitrary action of President Muhammadu Buhari, like the reported order on recovery of grazing reserve in 25 states. It would be unfortunate if any of the southern governors fail to enact the anti-open grazing law. Pandef commends the governor that have enacted the law and calls on states yet to enact the law to do so without delay. In the best interest of their people, he said. When contacted yesterday, the president of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Professor George Obiozo, said the group would have to investigate the states in the East that had passed the bill or and those that were yet to pass it. According to him, until the group finds out what is happening across the eastern states, he would not comment on the development. But in its reaction, the Mieti Alakato Breeder Association, Magban, described the ban as political motivated. The National Publicity Secretary of the association, Malam Adamu Toro, said there was not much they could do since the decision was politically motivated. He said they had called on governors in the northern states to see the ban as a challenge to their people and rise to it by reorganizing their respective livestock sector. We are watching the implementation to see how it goes. Where necessary, we will assist our members who face any challenges, he said. Okay, since they have done this, I think they have tried.